come on! No! No! Come on! No, 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 no! Ah! Oh, God damn it! Wait, we can do it! We can do it! We can do it! Oh! Oh! Why? Why? Why do you hate me? Oh! Oh! Oh no. I'm not crying. I've got soot in my eyes.
It's the anti-tracker.
We will return to your scheduled programming shortly, or we are currently experiencing technical difficulty.
What is going on, YouTube? Michael J. Crawford, the anti-tracker here, and good to see you all. I managed to hobble back upstairs twice in one day. A new record. Well, no, actually, I think I did twice on Friday as well. So, but still trying to get used to walking on my bionic knee, which is still in a lot of pain. It's ridiculously swollen. Unfortunately, if it's still swollen like this tomorrow morning, I'm going to end up having to go back to the ER again, and I really don't want to do that. And my allergies are driving me crazy. My nose is like itching so bad that yeah, it's just been driving me nuts. But I am here, I am alive, and that certainly beats the alternative, because I love hanging out with you guys, and boy, we got some stuff. So tonight we are going to be doing a full-on live reaction review to the Star Trek Discovery short trek called Q&A. Now, before I get started into it, I want to talk about a couple of quick things. But first, Yosef, thank you so much, puts €2 into the chat and says, in the spirit of the short trek, spin it.
I got him!
You got it, Yosef. Now, first of all, and you want it, oh yeah, you want to spin it, so that's number 23. And there we go, the classic among classics. Valor says, how you doing? I'm doing okay, all things considered. I wish my knee wasn't, and that's actually not just my knee. My entire right leg just blew up like a balloon. And so not very comfortable. But, you know, it's funny because when you're going through hard times, that's when you realize just how great the people around you are. And Mrs. Anti-Trekker has just been so wonderful for me these last few days. I cannot thank her enough. And if she's watching, babe, you know I love you. But but thank you for all that you do for me. Because I will tell you that there aren't that many women out there that will not only just do what they need to do to help their husband out in a situation like this, but actually feel compelled to do it, not just doing it out of obligation, but doing it because she genuinely wants to, that she wants to help. And to give you guys an idea, I cannot do some things. Like, I can't lift my leg worth a darn. So, like, if I sit down on the corner of the bed and I'm, like, going to lie down, I can't lift my leg off the floor and put it in the bed. So Mrs. Anti-Trigger literally comes around the bed and lifts up my leg and puts it in the bed for me. And, you know, she has to dress me in the morning and stuff like... It's just, she's been doing so much, and I feel so horrible that I put her through it, but I also know that she's not doing it for any other reason than the fact that she loves me. So, anyway, that's the summation of the old "how are you feeling" kind of stuff, which I see Valor asked as well, and I know a lot of people always ask at the beginning of these live streams. John DeMarco says hello. Hey, Joseph again, thank you for the €2. Jason Link says, I left Lore Reloaded for this. It better be good, you cyborgified hobbit. Well, I don't know how good this short trek's gonna be, but I want to talk about it for just a minute. I'm going to make a couple of predictions and verify the one prediction that I already made about this short trek some time ago is actually true. And now I got the word from our very own friend BIRDOPREY 5, who actually sent me a message saying that my prediction about the subject matter of this episode was correct. A lot of people thought, because when they announced the names of the short treks, that since there was one short trek called Q&A, then that must mean that Q was going to appear in that episode. And when they first announced all the names of the short treks, I said, nope, there's no way we're going to see Q pop up. And I said that I think what Q&A is referring to is in that trailer they show Spock and number 1 in a turbo lift, and apparently it looks like the turbo lift is broken down or something, and he's asking her question after question after question. And so to me, that sounds like a Q&A. And so that's what I thought it was. And like I said, Joe reached out to me today, or was it yesterday, whichever, to verify that, yes, I was quite correct. And by the way, I apologize for the Kleenex thing, but I managed to cut the inside of my nose with my razor when I was shaving. I got a little too close, and there's like a cut there, so it won't stop bleeding. So just... man, my life sucks right now. But at the same time, I say my life sucks, but at the same time, I also feel like I have the best wife on the planet, so it doesn't suck that bad. Josh says, don't push yourself to stream for us. No, you know what, Josh? I feel like it's something I want to do. I genuinely want to do these live streams. I want to get more videos out. The reason the live streams have been more common than actual videos lately is because it's a lot easier to produce a live stream than it is to do a video. Because a video, with the live stream, basically right now in my physical health, all I have to do is manage to get up the stairs and sit down, and then I can do it. But when it comes to the actual videos that I put out, those take a lot more work. They take a lot of intense concentration and focus on the subject matter, some writing, and then reading back, and then editing it together. And even if Mr. Miles was doing all the editing, that's a lot of work. And so it's just become physically impossible for me to get it done. But I'm very confident that in the coming weeks, as the swelling of my knee goes back down to human proportions, I will be able to do that. Now, let's see. Resolute says, maybe don't go up the stairs if your knee is swelling. Well, unfortunately, up the stairs is where that's where everything that I do is, except for sleep. Kronos says, how are you feeling tonight? Well, I already went through all that, Kronos, but basically, physically not feeling the greatest, but mentally, I'm feeling encouraged. Antrekker must like it when Mrs. Antrekker spanks him and calls him a bad boy. No, that would not be something we engage in. Sorry. And Thomas puts $4.99 in the chat. Thank you so much. On my way to work, have Mrs. Antrekker dial 91 to be ready. The short was bad. An Uber number 7. You got it.
So, does anybody really know why we're fighting anyway?
Well, I think... Hey, didn't he vote for Trump?
He did.
Get him!
So remember, if anyone has an opinion, they're probably wrong.
Now we know!
And knowing is half the battle.
I love that one. So thank you, Thomas. Mr. Miles says first. Thank you, Mr. Miles, for your unique take on what first means. Mike Richards says, I agree. Stop pushing yourself for us. I appreciate the sentiment, Mike. I truly do. But keep in mind, I'm not just doing this for you. I mean, I am, but I'm not just doing it for you, because there's also, it keeps me motivated to not just lie in bed, because that's actually the worst thing you can do. Even though that's the most comfortable thing, like just laying in bed all day long, it sounds wonderful right now. But if I do that, then it's going to take much, much longer to heal. And so being up and about and doing this is much better for me physically in the long run. It just hurts right now. Johnny says, Andy Trigger, you and Laura Reloaded are talking about the same topic. You guys should do a live collaboration. We've done that before, actually. In fact, that's how I first started doing live streams on this channel, was when Star Trek Discovery Season 1 was airing. He and I would do a collaboration live stream after each episode. And the only thing is, Laura and my schedule is so incompatible that it's pure coincidence that we both happen to be streaming at the same time right now. And you know, maybe we will in the future, maybe we won't, I don't know. But Laura's a great guy. I don't know what his opinions on this one are. I know that Laura is a lot softer on Star Trek Discovery than I am, but that's just a matter of personal taste. And Continuum says, I'm still waiting for the Q&A short trek to air in Germany. That sucks. Joseph says, since it's 1:30 a.m., I will only listen. After Bird Stream, it will be a hard night. Oh, I'm sorry, man. And I don't know what happened on Bird Stream. I was only there for a couple of minutes, but I hope everything's okay. Jason says, the first miles. I'm not sure what you're talking about. The first miles is when Mr. Miles said first. Valor says, it's good to have you back. I hope this doesn't cross any lines, but please don't push yourself too hard. No, you're not crossing any lines, you guys. I appreciate the fact that you guys show genuine concern for me. I really do, because you know what? Most YouTubers, they don't get that kind of feedback. You guys are so great. And, you know, I just feel, for lack of a better term, blessed, not just to have, you know, to have Mrs. Antitrekker as an incredible wife that takes care of me, but you guys as well that are always so encouraging. So I truly, truly appreciate it. And Nicole says, much love to Mrs. Antitrekker. Indeed, she deserves it. Better question, how do you think you'll be feeling after this stream? Probably not too bad, actually, Kronos, because now this stream was, I was originally going to be doing something like this on Friday. I was actually going to do a live reaction to the Vulcan Hello for my 4th anniversary of CBS blocking my first video, which was a review of the Vulcan Hello. And during that live stream, I decided to do something special, and I picked up a bottle of not champagne. Why is it not champagne? Because it's not from France. It's actually from Italy. Sorry, Luke, but I've heard this stuff is pretty good. Stella Rosa. And so this bottle will most likely be mostly gone by the end of this, if it's as bad as people say. And let's see. Night Breeze praying for you are healing. Thank you, Night Breeze. Well, I am. It's just a matter of, it takes a while. And let's see. BIRDOPREY did an excellent review. We watched an Italian version in English with Bird's voiceover, and it got pulled mid-watch. Yeah, so was Bird showing an Italian version while I heard that his live stream got cut down. I don't know why. Was he showing clips of the video, or what was he, or was it audio? What do we know what caused it to get yanked? Razors don't go inside the nose. Yeah, they're not supposed to. What happens? It's a one of those flexible 5-blade deals, and it's shaving up in here, and you can actually kind of see it right there. It's the cut. I was shaving right here, trying to get up to the edge of my nose, and I just sliced myself right there really good. So, unfortunately, it just won't stop bleeding. So, you're alive. Good to see you, says Wesley. Thank you, my friend. Wesley says, my mother had both of her knees replaced, not at the same time. Had to go back to work 8 weeks later. Yeah, I'm sure I'll be back at work within 8 weeks, which, I'm looking forward to and dreading at the same time, because I've been off work for so long. I've probably forgotten half of my job, and the other half has probably changed. Thundercats, ho, says, just paint your swollen leg green and shout Hulk smash. And, that's funny, because it does kind of look like I'm midway through a transformation into the Hulk. If you see my legs next to each other, it's kind of creepy. Mr. Miles says, shame on short treks sucked because they're honestly not a bad idea for universe building. Explain things that wouldn't feel natural to insert into an episode. I agree. And I'll tell you, the reason I am, even despite some of the negativity in this chat, I'm slightly optimistic about this one because this short trek happens to have subject matter that I actually enjoyed in Discovery Season 2, namely Mr. Spock. I really did like Ethan Peck's Mr. Spock. Now, Rebecca's number 1, we didn't get much of in Discovery Season 2, so I'm hoping we actually can get into her character a little bit in this and kind of set up what is she going to be like. Wesley says, who would win in a 100-yard race, you or Bird? Ooh, that's a tough one. But now, if me as I am right now, if Bird is in his power chair that he has, I think Bird would definitely win. However, if Bird just had to crawl, then I could probably beat him. Probably. But I can't guarantee it, because it takes me a while. Like, it takes me a good 5 minutes just to get out of bed. Like, to get from lying down to a standing position takes me about 5 minutes right now. Then to walk from the bed to the bathroom, which is from my side of the bed to the master bathroom, is about 6 feet, maybe, to the door. That takes another 2 or 3 minutes. And so, and then I'm not going to even talk to you about the logistics of actually going to the bathroom right now. So yeah, I mean, just because I can actually walk and Bird can't, doesn't necessarily mean I win the race. And Joseph says, please do not put the short down for stuff that is typical for Trek plots, e.g., why did they not use the transporter? I know that the storyline is, all I really know is that it appears that number 1 and Spock are stuck in an elevator and waiting for the rest of the crew to get them out. And honestly, I would assume that they wouldn't use the transporter unless it was going to be an absorbent amount of time to where it might pose a danger for them to be in there. So I don't have a problem with that as far as that kind of thing. Now, yes, using a transporter would save a lot of time, but you also wouldn't have a story to tell. So, yeah. I still love the deranged Care Bear. Makes me laugh every time. I love that thing, too. Now Joshua's idea 100%. And Wesley says, do what your physical therapist tells you. I intend to. In fact, I'm going to be seeing my physical therapist for the first time exactly 12 hours and 9 minutes from right now. And so this will be my first physical therapy appointment since the surgery. I'm looking forward to it. And let's see. And I'm not sure what you guys are talking about there. Let me see any more things addressed directly to me. Let's see. Mike Richards says scriptic pencil. I'm not sure what you're talking about there. Super glue that wound. Yeah, I suppose that could work. And Darren says stealth show. No notifications. That's YouTube for you. Now I don't know. And by the way, one thing I can't see because of the way I had to set up the computer for everything is I can't actually see the statistics on the stream itself. I can see the chat, but that is it. So I have no idea how many people are watching. I have no idea how many likes there are, any of that. So hopefully a halfway decent number of people actually decide to watch the show. If not, then, well, that would suck. But we shall see. And, all right, so stupid computer. We'll go back to there. All right. So, physical therapy at 8 a.m., 7 actually, Mike. I'm in the Central Time Zone. And so, yes, I took the earliest possible appointment. One thing I've learned is that when it comes to things like surgery, physical therapy, and driving tests as well, it's always best to get the first appointment possible because your tester, doctor, whatever, will have the most energy and tends to make the least amount of mistakes early in the morning compared to if you're the last person they have to deal with it. Imagine if you're a surgeon and you're doing 5 knee replacements in a day. And you get to number 5, and you're just exhausted because number 2 and number 4 both had a lot of complications while trying to do it. And so you get to number 5, and you're just, oh, geez, need to get this done. Do you want that? No. And Chronos donated $1. Thank you so much. Says super glue will stop the bleeding. Never wreck the hypnoturd with vocal fry. Oh, you're saying super glue the nose thing? I see. I'd be a little paranoid about putting super glue in my nose because it is on the inside there. So that, yeah, I don't know. Let's see. My father is an amputee, right 4. I assume you mean foot. And he drives. Well, you know, I can't drive right now, but they said that I'll be able to drive probably in about a month. But, you know, and I understand. I can't lift my, like, right now, if I was behind the wheel of a car, I could not lift my foot off the gas and put it on the brake. That's, it's really a bizarre thing where I just can't get that upward motion out of my leg right now. A cyborg hobbit controlling a motorized vehicle. Yeah, that's true. And Retro Lord says, did you watch the New York City Comic-Con, Star Trek, Picard, and Discovery? I did not. I'll be honest with you, I spent most of today in bed because I've just been exhausted. And I didn't do much of anything. We watched some, we had Beavis and Butthead playing on the TV while I basically was in and out of sleep. All right, so... Oh, and Night Breeze, I forgot. We need to put this up here.
We got it. We got it. Ah, shit. Okay, now we need to possibly use the rockets.
All right, why is it not stopping?
No. Yes.
Hold on.
Yes. Come on. No.
There. Don't know why that wouldn't stop playing, but that's all right. We can get that fixed easy enough.
All hail the Hypnoturd. You must totally bow down for the Hypnoturd because the Hypnoturd is good. The Hypnoturd is not toxic male. The Hypnoturd is not white, so the Hypnoturd is okay.
So there we go. Thank you, Night Breeze. Aqua therapy for the knee works great. Haven't tried it. Jason says, just break down and buy a nose and beard trimmer kit. You'll be all right. Yeah, I'm going to need to do that. And BIRDOPREY says, damn it. Not sure why. What I missed. Not much. We're just getting ready to start the episode. So, yeah. Fred says, saw the new Picard trailer. Looks fairly interesting. I watched it a couple times. I'm not going to get into it on this stream. But I definitely think it was an improvement on the earlier Picard stuff that we've seen. And I am going to do a full breakdown of it. Because I know, Picard is something that a lot of Trek fans are hoping beyond hope is actually good. All right, so let's get right to it here. So see if I can get this set up. Yes, there is a blank screen. Do not fret. This, once again, thank you to BIRDOPREY 5 for setting this up for me. This is a little slideshow. Actually, you know what I'm going to do is screw that. We're going to go back to the main menu and we'll add it. That's the wrong one. Add source. Screen capture. Monitor. Desktop 3. There we go. And so that way you can see the slideshow there. Trying to see what the best place to put it is. Put it right there for now. All right. And so here we go. Oh, yeah. And I do need to mute the audio from the computer so that you guys don't hear it. We don't want to get DMCA'd by wonderful CBS. So let's hit play and see if it starts working. And there we go. So hopefully you guys cannot hear it. Let me know if you can, because that would be a problem. So we got our standard opening credits of Discovery. And it says, Q&A. is the name of this short trek, of course. Have kind of a fuzzy shot. Not 100% sure what's going on here. Okay, looks like it's Spock. Walking towards the camera for some reason was out of focus. And so I guess they're just trying to like be artsy and stuff and doing all these extreme close-ups of different parts of Spock's body. Not sure why, but whatever. Nice shot of his ear. Close-up of his hands. And he's smiling, which is a little odd. Okay, I'm going to pause it here for just a minute. So, you can't see... There's a close-up of the pad that that belongs to number 1. And so, first of all, and I wish you could see it. So, since you can't see it, I'm going to show it to you guys. Because, don't worry, it's going to be a still image. There. So this is the pad in number 1's hands as Spock is beaming over to the Enterprise for the first time. Now, a couple of interesting things here. First and foremost, it shows number 1's name. Lieutenant Commander Una, UNA, First Officer and Helmsman. Basic model, the effective use of photon torpedoes is applied to the quantum... Whatever models of salvo analysis requires an in-depth analytics of the accuracy of Starfleet's most advanced torpedoes. What does that have to do with anything? Why is she, if she's there to welcome Spock to the Enterprise, which I assume is why she's in the transporter room, why is she reading up on photon torpedoes and other weapons? That doesn't make any kind of sense. And by the way, guys, I do want to make sure you know I can't see the I can see the chat, but I'm not going to stop and read the chat for every comment. However, I will say hello, Dr. Alex. Good to see you. We're talking about the latest Star Trek Discovery short trek. And also, I see Luke just joined us as well. Good to see you as well, Luke. I was apologizing to you earlier because to celebrate my second anniversary, which was, I bought some sparkling wine. However, it is not champagne because it's Italian, and so sorry about that. Okay, number 1's pad, no tampon. That is really, really horrible. First Officer Una, that's a little on the nose. Hack Riders, yeah. That is a little cheesy for her name, but hey, whatever. Are you really surprised for something cheesy out of, and cheesy in a bad way, out of Star Trek Discovery? I mean, seriously. All right, so bear with me just a second because I'm popping open the not champagne. Hopefully I don't kill anybody here with the cork. I don't know if it's been shaken up a little. I hope not. There we go. And wait for it to settle down because it almost started to fizz up. All right, so let's try some of this Stella Rosa. All right, so this is a toast to all of you. Without you guys being who you are, I would not be here, so thank you. Oh, that's good. That is really good. Anyway, so yeah, so her name is Una, which is really cheesy because she's known as number 1. And she's sitting here reading up on the technical stats of the weapons, even though she's not a tactical officer, she's a helmsman. And then let's see, gathering intelligence intro to the effectiveness of both offensive and defensive firepower is essential to Starfleet survival, highlighting the urgent need for the kind of quantum stochastic models of salvo analysis. What the hell is this? What does this have to do with anything? All right, hold on. I need another drink just because of how stupid this is. I mean, I know it's not like, oh, major story element, But it just makes no sense. Wouldn't it make more sense if she was had a on her pad there the personal file of Spock, because Spock's the new guy coming on the ship. So this doesn't really seem to make sense. All right, so let's get back to it. Don says, "Ouch! You hit me. This was an assassination attempt by Champagne." Sorry about that. Try a campaign with a chunk of mango in it. Ooh, that sounds like it could be good. Also, the Enterprise's #1 officer is just lieutenant commander now. Well, apparently. However, if I remember correctly, I think, wasn't Spock a lieutenant commander in the first season? I'd have to go back and look, but I think he was. Anyway, so let us continue on, which means I need to hide this one. All right. And so we can continue. All right, so she was reading that stuff out loud to some security red shirt dude. All right, so I know that some people have complained about Spock's mannerism here. And I'm going to play a few seconds of the audio for you so you can get an idea of what we're talking about. We'll go back 10 seconds. All right. Let me turn the video back on. All right, so listen to the way Spock is talking. We'll talk about this for just a moment.
Sir, Ensign Spock, S179276 SP, reporting for duty.
All right, so some people think that that was inconsistent with Spock. But I would argue that no. And yeah, if you took a drink every time I touched my nose, Kronos, yeah, you'd be dead by the end of this live stream. Sorry about that, but my nose itches like crazy. Plus that cut in it, it's just, it's driving me crazy. Anyway, but that is the proper way you speak clearly and loudly. When you are in the military, that is how you're to speak. And unlike prior iterations of Trek, that I think that they actually went for a little bit of accuracy on that. So I'm actually not going to bitch about that. I think that that's actually kind of cool. And as just mentioned in the chat, that's also very much how Spock was speaking in the cage. Spock always, he had an elevated voice almost all the time, you know, and he even did it in Where No Man Has Gone Before as well. And then he settled down after that. So I don't really have a problem with his voice there, but yeah. Star Trek short tracks give you boogers. No, it's not booger. I'd say my nose is just itches so bad, and then I got that cut from shaving, so it's just a double whammy there. All right, so sound should be muted again, and let's get back to it. So there we go. Play that and play this. So #1 is telling him that he does not need to shout. So now #1 is a little miffed at the fact that Spock and her have been on the ship for some 37 seconds, and yet he has not been grilling her with a bunch of questions, which apparently is something that she expects from her new officers. And so then she basically is demanding that Spock start grilling her with questions. So, okay, I suppose that's a thing. And so then he asks her name, and she says, "Just call me #1." And then Spock, okay, who... right. I need a drink. Okay. So, basically what we have here is Spock beams onto the ship. Number one is his welcoming party. And then she insists that he start asking her questions because he's a science officer and she expects her science officers to be curious. Now, I'm all down for all that. I don't have any problem there. However, then Spock asks his first question. And his first question is BIRDOPREY. BIRDOPREY, taking on the role of Alexander, donates $2 and says, "We all want Star Trek Discovery #1 naked." Oh. I would dare say that seeing Star Trek Discovery #1 naked would be better than seeing the original, the Cage #1 naked. So yeah, I'll go with you there. And BIRDOPREY says, like, Spock wouldn't know the names of the officers on the ship. That too, the commanding officer and first officer, as well as department heads, Spock would no doubt already know their names and have seen their pictures, so you should be able to recognize them instantaneously. But whatever. And so, but here's the thing. So she wants him to ask questions. So what does he ask? He asks her for her opinion on the quantum stover, whatever, salvo techniques that she was literally reading when he beamed over. That's just stupid. Sorry. That is just stupid. Why in the world would she, if you were to ask your new science officer to ask questions about your starship that he is just being assigned to, then wouldn't it make more sense for Spock to ask about how many science officers are there on the ship? Is the Enterprise's primary role going to be science versus more military and crap like that? And so, yeah. BIRDOPREY has been hitting the blow. No, it's I already explained it earlier, Bird, but a little while ago, I got to take my first shower since the surgery, and I shaved, and unfortunately, when I shaved right here, I cut my nose really, really good, so it's just bleeding like crazy, so yeah. And of course, we get quantum, because, the one thing that TOS was always missing was quantum, which is funny because that's actually true. You won't find the word quantum spoken by any of the original series cast until Star Trek Generations. That's the first time that any of the original cast say the word quantum. And so there was an episode with a Betazoid wedding, everyone naked, so there might surface some nude of Michelle Barrett. Well, there you go. But yeah, the Michelle Barrett #1, I do not want to see naked. I'm just telling you, I don't. Jay says, "Come up to Michigan. Edibles are legal here." I would love to. I'll tell you, I wish I lived in a state where that stuff was legal because that does help a lot with pain. Anyway, now, so I don't know. It just does not make a lot of sense to me. Now, then we get one of those really just ridiculously stupid shots. Now, we already knew that the interior of the Discovery had this huge area with with turbo lifts zipping around and stuff. Well, apparently, yes, on the Enterprise, same thing. Look at that crap. How is there that much room inside of a starship? even though the Enterprise is bigger than it was in the original series, there's no way it's that big. There is absolutely no way that it is that big. It boggles the mind. It truly does. And, of course, I got it. Ugh, man, I'm a mess today. All right, so let's get back to this craptastic show. All right. So that's playing, and number one. So, one thing, okay, so, okay, your live reviews always seem to do well, up to 73 watching, only 31 likes. Well, thank you, Kronos, I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know why people like watching me go ballistic over Discovery, but apparently they do. Why do you have the 60s Batman camera angle? Probably because I was trying to fix the camera before and I messed it up. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Mr. Miles. Yeah, I didn't remove it from the screen. Thank you, Mr. Miles, for pointing that out to me. Wrong one. There we go. I want to keep that off the screen unless I'm showing you something specifically. And I assume that BIRDOPREY is calling to warn me about the fact that I had it up. Let me see here. Yes, I see that it was up and I removed it. Talk to you later. So thank you, BIRDOPREY and Mr. Miles, for looking out for me. I do appreciate it because, yes, CBS are freaking nuts when it comes to copyright. Anyway, in Star Trek, Peck Spock, what's wrong with his face? Yeah, it's funny because I liked him as bearded Spock. I actually really liked him, but without the beard, he doesn't look right to me. But that's all right. I still like Peck, even if it doesn't look quite right. Now, number one here, I have to say, is not impressing me much. It seems like they're basically trying to make her into a female Spock. Now, number one was stoic, but she's not a science officer. But the thing is that now they're sitting here discussing photon torpedo tactics. A helmsman in the chain of in the command structure of the ship, and a science officer are talking about things that two red shirts should be talking about. So that does not make a whole lot of sense. I mean, I'm just saying. And Jason's talking about Mr. Miles' uniform change. That was incredible if you haven't seen it. Night Breeze throws a buck in. Thank you so much, my friend. I do truly appreciate it. And Fred says it's like Tom Selleck without the stash. You are 100% right. That is absolutely right. Number one was unemotional in the cage. Yes, she was. But she's actually got a little more charisma here than in the cage. Mr. When you get in a fight, no, I cut myself shaving. It's really embarrassing, but the show must go on, as they say. So yes, I'm gonna have to do this throughout the live stream. I apologize. But they like science. Yeah. But here's the thing: for Spock, that makes sense. For number one, it doesn't. She wants to be in command. Spock wants to be a great scientist. Those are two very different things. So why they're doing it like this, I genuinely have no freaking idea. Uncle Raymond says $1 for a box of tissues. Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to be running out here pretty soon. But yeah, red shirts are too busy writing wills and planning for their funerals. Will number one get a name? Maybe like Dorothy, Barbara, or Roxanne? Well, no, we already discovered it. Number one's name is Una. So there you go. Her name is Una for some reason. And Night Breeze wants number 23. All right, let me unmute the audio, and then we will get number 23 up here for you. And Mark says I should just shove some toilet paper up my nose. It'll look awesome. Yeah, I'm not going to do that because it looks horrible. It looks bad enough for me doing this the whole time, but I'm not going to have a big old toilet paper wad hanging out my nose. Statistically speaking, gold shirts get off more often than red shirts. Statistically speaking. True, but yeah, I think the red shirt death came about because of the whole thing, because red shirts were the security force. Watching Discovery makes you bleed from all orifices. Oh, that might be why I feel a little less comfortable down there. Oops. Ethan Peck clearly needs to be recast with Spinning Spock. That would be awesome. Wesley says, I missed a lot of chat. Work has been crazy. I'm sorry, my friend. I understand. You can glue the nose or use a soldering iron. I'm not using a soldering iron in mine. Why you guys just, man, you just like hate me. Tampons up your nose like Beavis. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Anyway, so we now have the science officer in the command and the second in command officer discussing weapons, because why the hell not? Let's continue on, shall we? Oh, man. All right, so, of course, I'm expecting any minute here for something horrible to happen to the turbo lift. Yep, and there it is. Turbo lift just suddenly stopped. No explanation. It just stops. And so they're looking around trying to figure out what to do.
Engineering. Upjohn, this is number 1. We have failure in turbo lift 6 and I can't get manual override.
On it, sir. Engineering out.
Oh, so they have a female Scottish engineer. Oh, great. Jeez. Who on the comm says they're going to work on getting them back. Now Spock and number 1 are sitting there awkwardly.
People don't talk in elevators.
Oh, man. Thank you, Miles. I left the sound on. Let me kill that. So she's insisting Spock ask her more questions since they have to kill some time. Okay, that was horrible. That was absolutely horrible. This needs a drink here. Joe's saying I'm drunk. I'm definitely not drunk. I wish I was. All right. Spock asked her to talk about Captain Pike's character a little bit. And so she says, and keep in mind, this seems to be framed to be a positive. Let me rewind it so I can make sure I hear it properly. Okay, so she says that his capacity, this is really kind of odd the way that's phrased, but okay, his capacity for hearing out another point of view is only exceeded by his willingness to change his own plans or change his own mind after hearing you out, which basically tells me he's wishy-washy. He's a captain that does not stick to his gut. He's a captain who basically asks everybody else what to do and then does that. So that's not, in my opinion, a good thing. Not for a captain. So, that, I think, was bad. Because they kind of they frame that as if that's a good thing. And I'm sorry, but a captain that won't, if he has something, he I don't know. It's a captain that doesn't have the a certain level of stubbornness and a certain level of confidence in his own decisions. That's not a good thing. I'm just saying. So yeah. The blood is caused from his brain trying to escape his body through his nose. Yes, I think you're right. And in fact, here, so you guys don't have to see me doing this all the time. I'll just put this on the full screen so that you don't have to watch me constantly messing with my nose. And Thomas throws another $4.99 into the chat. Thank you so much, Thomas, and says, Engineer is a Scottish woman, probably taught Scotty everything he knows. You are probably completely right. But, oh, jeez. Or it's like Scotty's mother or something. I could actually see that. So, and UBERCHAT number 11, you got it, my friend. Oh, no sound. I know.
But here's what we're gonna do. It's a beautiful day in Caroga. Of course, it's time to protect the Caroga homelands. Ah, shit! We're already taking shots. What the hell was that? What? Son of a bitch. Son of a bitch. Who shot me? Who shot me? Where's the body? There it is. God damn it. God damn it. It would help if it was telling me where people were shooting from. Fuck! Or Alamarine, if you can see. Alamarine, you'll come with me. Alamarine.
Yes, good old BIRDOPREY. And yes, thank you for the reminder. But yes, I was switching the sound over just to make sure that we don't accidentally do something silly and play the audio from the show again. And let's see. They'd never had an old white patriarchal old doctor man on Woke's STD. Oh yeah, you're talking about Dr. Boyce. Someone said, yeah, he should be the one to greet Spock. Actually, they should have a having number one greet a new officer. I don't have a problem with. She's in the command chain. You know, she's first officer of the ship, and so she's an appropriate choice. But to have her reading up on photon torpedoes, and then when she asked Spock to ask a question, he asked specifically about the exact topic, not just photon torpedoes in general, but the exact topic that she was reading on. That's just stupid. That's just really, really stupid. All right, let's get back to it. And so now they're stuck in the elevator.
Even though he is the most heavily decorated fighting captain in Starfleet, he views resorting to force as an admission of failure.
Okay, so number 2 on her top 3 things about Captain Pike is that even though he is the single most decorated combat captain in Starfleet, that he considers the use of force as an admission of failure. Now, I don't necessarily disagree with this on principle. I think that, yes, the use of deadly force should always be considered a last resort, and it means that you failed at any other way of resolving a particular situation or crisis. But the problem is that coupled with what she just said about how willing he is to change his mind on just about everything, is painting a picture of an extremely low caliber of command officer. Someone who is indecisive, someone who is, doesn't really care to have an opinion on things, but would rather get other people's opinions and go on that. And someone who obviously doesn't want to go to violence. Okay, I agree with that one, but we'll see. All right, so what, pray tell, will number 3 be? Oh, goodness gracious.
3. He is utterly unsentimental, except when it comes to horses.
And number 3, which is an interesting one, but is that she says he is utterly not sentimental, except when it comes to horses. So apparently, the only thing in the universe that Pike actually cares about, aside from what's going on in the here and now moment, are horses. So that's just stupid. All right, let me do a few chats, then we'll get back to it. Andy Jagger, a new super chat, a condensed montage of you rubbing your nose. Yeah, that would be freaking awesome. Thomas, you need to go to Kuroga for Bird of Prey's hunting trips. Oh, that would be awesome. I need clips of Bird of Prey singing for content and clips later. Well, my understanding is he had quite a few songs on his live stream today. So you should just download that live stream. I still say Scotty was the most badass character in the 1701's crew. I'll bet he could have even shrugged off a Vulcan neck pinch. It would be hilarious if he got it from his mother. That's true. He is Scottish. Yeah, that's true. Scotty was a complete badass. Most people don't realize what a badass he was until, as you pointed out, Mr. Miles, he, with a single punch, knock unconscious and augment a human with 5 times a normal human's physical capabilities. And Scotty decked him, and he was out. So, yeah. Antrigger, when did indecisiveness become wisdom? Well, that's an SJW trait, I believe. Yeah, this Italian not champagne is actually really, really good. Let's see. All right. And Fred is asking, doesn't the ship have transporters? As far as beaming him out of the elevator at this point, I would say from what I gather, the engineer said, oh, yeah, it'll just be a few minutes. So if they're only stuck in there for a few minutes, no big deal. I would start worrying about using the transporters if they said, well, it's going to be 6 hours. Then, assuming they had something to do, that would make sense. Mr. Londell says, the collar on the tunics looks really stupid. The horse thing is a reference to the cage. Well, I know it's a reference to the cage, but I also think that that's silly. To try and say that Pike only cares about horses because the only thing we saw in the cage from his personal life is that he had horses when he had this place outside, what was it, Phoenix or something like that? And so he had this ranch with some horses, and therefore that's the only thing he cares about? That makes no sense. You know, that would be like if you take a character, I mean, well, pick any other character from the original series. Let's say that Sulu, right? You were doing something with Sulu, and you said, well, you know, there's that one episode where he has his plants. So you say, well, the only thing he cares about is botany. No, it's just something you saw him do. Anyway, but yeah, by the way, I do agree with you, though, that the collar on the tunic is the worst thing about this uniform. I could almost deal with the uniform if they had a better collar. I still think, though, that the piping on the shoulders looks equally stupid. If you got rid of the collar and the piping on the shoulders, I would probably be, for the most part, okay with this uniform. However, yeah, they don't. All right, so evening all. I see I've missed some fun. Some, but not all. Don't worry. Let's see. And Tom, thank you for posting the schedule for the short treks. Looks like, you know, there's this one, obviously, that was, let's see. The Q&A's out now, October 10th. So 4 days from now will be The Trouble with Edward. November 14th, Ask Not. December 12th, The Girl Who Made the Stars. The Girl Who Made the Stars. Ephium and Dot? No idea. Okay. And January 9th, The Children of Mars. Yeah. So we'll see if any of those are any good. Bird on an Italian trailer. You have fake Italian booze. Oh, that's an interesting coincidence. Would you rather make them have obsessed about horses because we saw horses in the cage, or have them come up with something new that has no precedent? I think that was just a stupid line. Like, for example, let's say number one said something like, instead of he has no sentimentality except for horses, what if she said something like, he really loves horses, so never say anything negative about horses? I could buy that, because I know there are people like that. You know, like there are people, like, for example, will be that way about certain breeds of dogs, like pit bulls, for example. The general consensus of pit bulls are these big, huge, evil monsters, but people that have pit bulls know that they're very sweet, kind dogs, and those people get very offended when you start talking negatively about pit bulls, right? And so if Pike had a deep love of riding horses, then I could see where you might say, oh, you know, just don't talk about horses in a negative way around him, because that would bother him. But yeah, and I do agree, though, with Mark said it was a member berry thrown at Canon Warriors. You're absolutely right. But just because you did one thing that's consistent with Canon doesn't fix the 750,000 other things you did that violated it. Can't wait to see the Picard show where Jean-Luc will only talk about wine because he had a vineyard. Oh, yeah. It's so funny because, you know, Picard went to Chateau Picard, once in 7 years? And yet we're seeing, it looks like his whole life revolves around Chateau Picard now. So, yeah. All right, so let's get back to the show here and see what's going on. Make sure the audio is correct. Yes, it is. And let's start it playing.
He's sentimental about large herbivores, terrestrial mammals.
Just stay away from the topic. It's my advice.
So Spock was clarifying on the horses thing, and she said just don't talk about it. That's her advice.
Sorry, sir. We're isolating the problem. It's either the secondary induction coil or a glitch in the path routing or the brakes. Definitely one of those two.
Oh, jeez. You know, one thing I liked about TOS better than any other Trek series was the fact that TOS did not go all overboard with technobabble. Whereas the other series, well, they all did. However, what the engineer just told her... Now, keep in mind, they are in an elevator that broke down, right? That's the basic premise of this little episode, is Spock and number one are stuck in an elevator that broke down while they were on their way to go see the bridge. Simple enough story. And so, when the elevator breaks down... What could possibly cause the elevator to break down? Well, so we get an explanation from the Scottish lady engineer, and it's just really, really stupid. So I'm going to let you hear her explanation. Listen carefully to what's wrong with the elevator.
Sorry, sir. We're isolating the problem. It's either the secondary induction coil or a glitch in the path routing or the brakes. Definitely one of those three.
I'm just taking a drink. Congratulations. You've managed to get Voyager level technobabble into the TOS era of Trek. All right, so let's continue on. Mute the audio so we don't get any more of that. So he's asking what version of the operating system?
I took a look at the Wilson sampling of code .5.
Oh my god. All right. So now basically it looks like this episode, the purpose of this episode is to do one thing and one thing only. and that is to show that number one knows everything. Number one is basically the Michael Burnham of the Enterprise. So Spock asks her what operating system the ship's main computers use. And she said, I don't remember the number, like 11.247.4. And she said, well, you know, I looked over the patch for 11.237.5, but I thought there were some problems with it, so we decided not to upgrade it. You know, and it's like, wait a minute, so wouldn't that be in the purview of the science department? Or at the very least, the maintenance department or IT, if they have some kind of IT department? Would this not be the job for the helmsman / first officer? And yet, she knows every detail of the ship's operating systems and personally made the decision to not upgrade to the current version. This is not going well. I'm just... I just got to say that is just kind of stupid. But let us continue on through this thing.
In my opinion,
Oh, the reason they didn't like version 5 is because it lacked elegance.
we use the Una matrix, essentially a Gupta-Katzmann hybrid.
Oh my God. Oh, okay. So now, man, it's amazing how much they can ruin a show in such little bit of time as they're doing right now. So, next question. Now, keep in mind, we've already established that number one is the ship's expert on various types of weaponry. She is the expert on the computer systems, right? But that's not enough. That's not a freaking enough. Now, not only all that, but she's got to be the one person in charge of nutrition aboard the ship. As Spock asked her if they're using the Guten or some other name matrix of food synthesizers, to which she says, and I am not making this up, that they use the Una algorithm. In other words, she wrote the freaking programming for the food processors on the ship. Really? She wrote the program. Oh my God. And the thing is, like all of CBS's Star Trek, it's like they have, you know, like I like Spock in season 2 of Discovery. Number 1, I didn't have much of an opinion on because they don't show her very much, but they're absolutely butchering if they decide to do an Enterprise show, the more that this goes on, the less I want to see an Enterprise show. I'm really all right, let's watch some more of this crap. We're halfway through it, it looks like.
These are both more nutritious and more palatable.
Your name is Una.
That isn't a question, Vincent. My name is number 1.
Okay. So Spock correctly then determines that because that they use the Una matrix for the food synthesizers, and she talks about how it takes elements of both of the others and blends them together to make a more efficient and more palatable food for the crew. So Spock correctly deduces that her name is Una, because, well, that would just make sense. And so her response is, my name is number 1. Why does she hate her own name? What has she got against her own name? I really, that could actually be something interesting to find out. Why does she have a problem with the name Una, but she's okay with everybody calling her number 1? Which doesn't make any sense, because number 1 is a position on a ship. You know, when Picard called Riker number 1, it wasn't just some silly little nickname as a callback to the cage. Luke throws €2 in and says, Lieutenant Commander Una Sue reporting. And Super Chat number 1, you got it, Luke. Perfect timing. Oh, wait, was that the one you wanted?
Why would you do this to your fans, you heartless monster?
See, for some reason, I thought you actually wanted this one.
I'm a better female character than you.
You would be if you didn't spend all your time with that temper tantrum meme guy.
At least I'm not the one on a show with a questionable acronym.
Take it back.
No, 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 no,
Yes,
no,
yes,
no,
yes,
no,
yes,
no,
yes, yes, yes.
Oops. Sorry to bother you.
Oh, crap. Thank you, Mr. Miles. You guys just got to watch the Super Chats without hearing it. Let me play them again.
I'm a better female character than you.
You would be if you didn't spend all your time with that temper tantrum meme guy.
At least I'm not the one on a show with a questionable acronym.
Take it back.
No, 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 no,
Yes,
no,
yes,
no,
yes,
no,
yes,
no,
yes,
no,
yes,
no.
yes.
Oops. Sorry to bother you.
Oh, no, no, please, I don't want to go. I don't want to go, please. No, I don't want to go. No. Why would you do this to your fans, you heartless monster?
Whatever. Yes. So, this is just lovely. Let us continue on and see what more Mary Sue qualities can we get out of number
is
1.
not only not ethical, but also illogical and perhaps morally indefensible.
No, Spock, I have not. And for the sake of your own sanity, might I suggest you cease doing so immediately. Next.
Well, that was kind of snippy. So Spock asked an interesting question that thank you, Mr. Miles. I didn't mute it again. So you guys heard it. But basically, he was asking about her thoughts on the Prime Directive, and she basically tells him to shut up. I mean, seriously, she just tells him to shut up. Because, have you considered the Prime Directive? The Prime Directive, the highest law in the Federation, is morally indefensible. And thank you, Joe and Mr. Miles, for warning me that I left the audio on. I got it corrected now. Anyway, so he's basically suggesting that the highest law in the Federation may be a morally indefensible position. And yet, he is... And so he's asking her if she's ever considered that. She's like, no, I haven't, and you shouldn't either. So it's... Really? You should not question if there's... if I'm sorry, but if you genuinely feel like the highest law in the government is an immoral law, and then don't you think you should consider that and try to think of ways to modify it maybe or something to make it less immoral? But apparently not. Apparently number 1 just pulls the company line. Oh man, this is just getting worse.
Have you considered that ubiquity of mathematics such as so-called operations? The design of the universe was designed as perhaps an enormous simulation. Am I becoming an annoyance?
Just starting to get a bit heavy.
So he's then asking her the simulation argument. Number 1 is starting to get annoyed with him.
Do you like it?
Do you like eggplant, he asks, and she is now very frustrated and trying to figure out how the heck to get out. So they're looking around, and it looks like I'm going to pause this for a minute because that was a head. So she's basically now having Spock lift her so that she can... Oh, man. So that she can get to an access panel that is way high up in the elevator. And in one of the classic moments of let's take femininity to the next level, so she asks Spock to hoist her up, to lift her. She first says give her a boost, but he doesn't quite know what she means. And she says, lift me up. So he walks over to her and begins to put his hands on her waist like he's going to lift her. So then she stops him and says, "On your knees." And then she hops up on his shoulders. Wow. Really? Could you imagine the reaction from the SJW crowd if Spock said that to her? So, yeah, whatever. This is just...
John, I opened the service hatch. What should I look for?
You want to move aside the fan housing.
What?
Small black nitro box and a blue diode.
No!
Check to see if the contacts are clean.
All right.
What? No, 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 no! Ugh. Now, you guys know there's nothing that irritates me more and stuff like this than bad writing. And it's not, I mean, yes, it's annoying, but, you know, the inconsistencies with the rest of Trek, you know, I would be less harsh about if you were just telling a good story. However, let's talk about the premise of this episode for just a moment. The whole premise of this episode is Spock and Number One are in the turbo lift. Then the turbo lift breaks down, and so now they're waiting for engineering to fix it, right? Okay, that makes sense. And now they're having their conversation, and Spock's asking her all the questions, and we get the Q&A part of the episode, where we learn that Number One is the bestest ever. And so now we have a new Mary Sue, and we've established that. So then she says, you know, when Spock is finally driving her nuts, she says, all right, you know, get on your knees. She hops on his shoulders. He stands up so he can access the panel. And then she just, apparently the Scottish chick engineer has been listening in this whole time, because without having access to a comms panel or anything, she just starts asking the engineer, okay, what am I supposed to do here? And the engineer immediately relays back what connection she needs to mess with in the inside of the turbo lift. Now, let me ask you something. If Number One was supposed to access this internal stuff in the turbo lift the entire time, why the hell have they been sitting down asking each other questions this whole time? How does that make any sense? And Thomas puts a $1.99 in, thank you, Thomas, and says, warning, it's about to get worse. Cover ears soon. And Number 5. Wow, you're making me nervous now.
In deepest squat, on coldest seat, bite your lip and grab 3 sheets. And promise me to end daylight you. Beware my power. Brown lanterns burn! Hey, didn't we do this joke already?
All right, so Thomas says it's about to get worse. That I find difficult to believe, but then again, anything is possible. So let us continue on to this crap.
Have you ever made first-hand observations of a triple node ion platoon Delta Scuti star?
Yes. My first deep space cruise on Enterprise took us to within a half light year of 99 Pegasi.
I am envious.
Oh my God. So now he's asking her if she's ever seen some particular stellar phenomenon. She says yes. Of course she's seen it, because she probably seen everything there is in the universe. And then he says how envious he is that she actually got to witness this thing, which she apparently got to see on her first deep space mission aboard Enterprise. So, yeah, whatever. All right.
Can't begin to tell you what
So now Spock and Number One fall down to the floor. And so with her legs wrapped around him in an interesting way. Yeah. And Luke... Luke throws $2 or €2, sorry, into the super chat. Thank you. I do appreciate that, Luke. And says, repeat after me. Poop slinging chimpanzee riders. Well, yeah, you know what, Luke? Not going to argue with you there. Because, yeah, they're just taking a big old dump on the, on the one of the few good things they've developed out of Star Trek Discovery, which was this new take on Spock. And they're taking a giant crap on that now, because why the hell not? So apparently, since number one grabbed the wrong circuit or something, she's knocked unconscious, and like I care. And so the Scottish chick is, verifying they're okay. Number one's awake. Oh, okay. So they're going to get saved by another woman. Okay, so now, here's where I think the transporter question should come into play. It's not like I'm doing an objective-subjective review on this, so I'm not going to give it a whole lot of weight. But this is where I think transporters should have been the solution, because now at this point, they are sending another woman who happens to be a championship climber to rappel down the turbo lift shaft, which there is no turbo lift shaft. It's a freaking roller coaster, but whatever. So she's going to rappel down the roller coaster ride to get to them and pull them out. Now, that seems just a little bit risky. Sure, she's a champion climber, but I assume Spock and number one are not. And so to do this seems like an unwarranted risk when you could simply beam them out. Wouldn't that make more sense at this point, to just beam them out of the turbo lift? Now, I understand this has been done before in Trek. This is not something unique to Discovery, right? They've had situations where they could have used a transporter or something to resolve the situation very easily, but for the sake of drama, they didn't. However, they're literally having people rappel on the inside of a starship using mountain climbing gear rather than just beam them out. How does that make any freaking sense whatsoever? Answer, because it's Discovery.
Any more questions? Answer.
No, sir. I'm sorry.
Fair enough. Then I have one for you.
Okay, so now number one's got a question for Spock.
Smiling. I didn't know that was something Vulcans could do. I must admit, I found the sight a bit disconcerting.
Duly noted. In the future, I will be careful to avoid smiling.
No. The strength of a Starfleet crew is in its diversity and differences. I would never ask a crew member to suppress or conceal their nature. I do think one must be aware, however, of how one is perceived by one's comrades. Not because you're half Vulcan, but this is the advice I give to anyone whose ultimate goal is command.
That is not my goal, sir.
Bullshit. No one endures.
All right, so we're... So now, and yes, there is toilet paper in my nose. Sorry, guys. I just, it's driving me crazy. I'll try to keep it out of the line of sight there. Anyway, so now we have number one asking Spock if it was true that he was smiling when he first beamed over, which clearly he was. And so... and Spock basically admitted that he was, and he said that she found it about a little bit disconcerting, and so he said that he would avoid smiling in the future. To which number one's like, no, you don't. I don't ever want to tell people to not be who they truly are, and you need to express yourself and blah 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 blah. Then she goes immediately into a little diatribe about how you have to be careful because you have to know what other people are thinking about you. So basically, in the same sentence, she's telling him that it's okay to smile, but it's not okay to smile. And on top of that, of course, we have yet another Star Trek, gotta throw a curse word in for no reason, even though it's never been a part of Trek in the past. So she said that basically he needs to be aware of how people think of him because when command is your ultimate goal, to which Spock said his goal is not command, which is true. Anybody that knows anything about Spock knew that Spock did not want to be a captain. Spock wanted to be a scientist, and he really loved serving under Captain Kirk. He didn't want to take command of a ship of his own. And so but now she literally tells him BS without saying BS, but using the actual words about him not wanting to be a captain. So apparently they're rewriting Spock now because, of course, number one will always be right. And so Spock really secretly wants to be a starship captain.
2 solid years of owner pool on quantum stochastic combat modeling because they want to sling a tricorder for the rest of their lives. And if you want to command, you're going to have to learn to keep your thinking to yourself.
So yeah, she literally just said that if you want to command, you got to keep all the emotion bottled up, right? So she did. She told him flat out that I want you to be able to express your emotions and feelings, but you shouldn't express your emotions and feelings. What the hell is that supposed to even mean? On top of that, she said that, hey, you know what? You wouldn't have spent the last 2 years studying this quantum torpedo BS technobabble stuff that they were talking about earlier if he wanted to sling a tricorder for his entire career. And that's just insulting. I'm sorry. So now you're basically reducing being a science officer on a Federation ship the equivalent of being a burger flipper. By using that kind of term, you just want to be slinging a tricorder your whole life. That's, you might as well say, so you just want to flip burgers. So this is insulting right there with that line. I'm sorry, it really is. They're trying to, for whatever reason, make number one a better character by making her an imitation of Michael Burnham, where she just knows everything. And so, yeah, that's just stupid.
Even if that's painful.
I've been doing that all my life. And it is.
I know.
So now Spock is explaining that he already knows what it's like to have to hide his true nature, blah, blah, blah. Actually, a good moment, I would say, in this train wreck of an episode. And so now number one's going to show him something. And she's singing to him. She's singing to him. She's singing Modern Major General to Spock. I mean, and look at that picture of Spock. So she is singing to Spock because, and why, I don't quite get, because it sounded like it was known that she sings this song or something. I don't know. But, I mean, this is a song from a play called The Pirates of Penzance. And the character that sang that song is, of course, an older man. And so, why would she be known for singing this song? I don't know. Why are they throwing this in here? I don't know. Why is it now? I haven't gotten to this because it looks like the slideshow is a little bit ahead of the episode. So I have no idea why Spock is smiling like he, just like he's smiling like he's Alexander and MCU Aunt May just walked in naked. So trying to see what's going on here. So she's walking around him in circles, singing the entire song. They're not holding back. They're playing this entire freaking song. All right, so she finishes the song. Let's see, come on. No! 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 Stop, you piece of... Excuse me. Excuse me just a minute. Ugh. Of all the really crappy moments in Star Trek Discovery, I think this is the worst single moment in all of Star Trek Discovery. And because I love you guys so much, I'm going to share that anguish with you right here, right now. Watch carefully. So remember, Rebecca number one, just finished singing the song Modern Major General from the Pirates of Penzance.
In short, in matters vegetable, animal, and mineral, you are the very model of a modern Major General.
Seriously? So now, not only does Spock spin, but Spock sings! Yay! I'm completely dumbfounded. I would not have expected this. Luke says, haha, called it. Turn Trek into a musical comedy. I am just dumbfounded by what we just saw. I cannot believe it. I don't know what to say. We'll continue on. But holy crap. Fortunately, it's almost over. Okay, so now the female rock climbers champion managed to get to the top of the elevator to rescue them. And she's making Spock promise that they will never talk about their little singing together. Oh, okay, so they've learned their lessons with canon, so now anytime they do something that's completely wrong, they'll just say, we're never going to talk about it again. And so now the champion rock climber opens the hatch, and they're pulling number one out as she rises from the turbo lift, and then I don't know where she's going, but she's just kind of floating away. And Spock is just staring at her from below. And kind of smiling a little bit again. Meanwhile, on the bridge, so Spock comes onto the bridge, where number one is sitting at her station. So how did she just teleport there? But whatever.
At the new booth?
Yes. That'd be Ensign.
And now she's playing it off like she didn't know who he was. How does this make any sense? She had to grab her pad and say, oh yeah, that's Ensign Spock. So not only does she want to pretend that they never enjoyed a song together, but that she didn't even meet the guy when she was in the transporter room. Are you telling me that she went to the transporter room to greet a new officer and Pike didn't even know? What is... Oh. So now they're looking at a nebula. Everybody's happy. Pike asks Spock if they ever feel awe, and Spock says yes, but they don't show it. I assume looking at the nebula. And then he glances over at number one because they had their special little moment together. And yeah. In memory of Dr. Robert Chabon? No idea who that is, but whatever. So, there you go. Star Trek Discovery, well, Star Trek Short Treks, Season 2, Episode 1, Q&A. Man, I don't even know what to say. I will say this. Before I watched this, and if anybody that's been watching my channel for a while knows this, I've been advocating for a Pike series because I really like Pike and Spock a lot more than any of the other characters on Discovery Season 2, and I actually thought they were enjoyable. I withdraw that suggestion. I want CBS to go out of business and sell Star Trek to anybody else. I don't care who. I really don't care who at this point. I want somebody other than Kurtzman involved. I want somebody other than CBS involved. If maybe with this merger with Viacom, if that works out, great. But Joe says it's Michael Chabon's father. Well, I'm not sure who Michael Chabon is either, but I'm sure I should. Probably, I assume, is that a producer or something? Oh, the showrunner for Picard. Gotcha. Thank you, Joe. So, and it's funny because the credit that came up right after that is written by Michael Chabon, so I should have thought about that. Anyway, that moment of Spock breaking out into song is the death of Trek right there. That's it. It's over. If that is really what they think Trek is supposed to be, it's all over. There's nothing we can do. So, yeah. That was Short Trek. Hope you guys enjoyed it more than I did because, wow, that was really, really, really freaking bad. All right. And so let me see. I'll do a few chats and then we will finish up here. And number one singing, yeah. Let's see, I'm not sure where I was in the chat because I know it was a while ago that I'm just going to start here. The Renegade said, how's it going? How's the pain? Hope you're doing well. The pain is horrible, but not as bad as watching that. But thank you, my friend. Luke says, science is just like selling burgers in the future. Star Trek Discovery writers, 100% correct. That is what they seem to think of it. Thomas said, told you. Yeah. Wasn't that the song sung by Data? No. That is a different song that was sung by Data. Nicole says, oh, F, God, what the F? Yep. Richie says, that is not Spock. Hey, this actor can do platter songs. Get them to do a modern Major General. Well, they just did. Mr. Miles says, that's the look Alex would get at naked Aunt May. And Luke with his €2 says, is this short trek called STD meets La La Land? I guess so. And Trek Yards is in the house, says, dude, relax. Well, you know how I am, Captain Foley. I don't know what you thought of this one, and I assume it's Captain Foley as opposed to Commander Calkins. I don't know, but it's usually Captain Foley. If you're still here, I don't know what you thought of that episode, but I'm sorry. It's one thing we can argue about whether or not Lorca should have had a Gorn in his closet or a Tribble and crap like that. That I get it. You can argue about that stuff. You can argue about the whole visual style of the show being a visual reboot of the show. And I'm okay with that. I got it! However, what I'm not okay with is ruining Spock of all characters. All right, and they did it in one single shot. And then Thomas, thank you so much, shows another couple of bucks into the chat and says, I warned you repeatedly, if he's here, Foley gets to pick. So Captain Foley, you can pick a super chat if you are in fact still with us. And so I'll try to get to the end of the chat, and if I don't see anything from you, then I'll assume you're not still here. Resolu says, thank God you're watching this Anami and Trigger. There's not enough edibles in Seattle to get me through this. Yeah, I really could use some Seattle goodies right now. Please, Trigger, don't pop that knee out. I know. Thomas I warned you. Yes. Bird says leg is going to explode. Yeah. Renegade says it's lazy writing. The actor has had a skill, and doing Platter is a skill, but the writers don't know any other Patter songs, and it's public domain. Yeah, but it's still... Why would you ever have Spock singing? Unless, like in the original series, Spock actually did sing in one episode in Plato's Stepchildren, but he was forced to. And Mr. Trent says, I told you, hard liquor time. Well, you know what? When we get to full-length episodes, yes, we'll need some serious hard liquor. Surprise took you this long to get to punching bag level. Well, here's the thing, John. Remember, I've been in constant, excruciating pain for several months now, and the pain has actually been much, much worse the last 3 days. So I figured at this point, it's not going to bother me that much. Till we see Spock singing freaking Broadway. There's Luke with his €2 saying, called it, turn Trek into a musical comedy. Yes, that is just... James Lane, just one SIAB anti-checker. You can do it. That's more Joe's thing. I don't usually say son of a bitch, but yeah. Captain Floyd says, I was in that play at public school. Very cool. It's actually not a bad play. And it's not a bad... I actually really like that song. It's a catchy tune. However... if she sang the song and then Spock looked at her and said something like, is that supposed to convey some kind of meaning to me or something? I would have been okay with it. But to have her sing the song and then stand there looking at him and then he breaks out into singing it is... They forgot to pinky swear, so it doesn't count. And Trekkard is singing that song right now. It's a good song. Darth Maul, Rebecca Romaine is still gorgeous. Makes me look... past this mess. Well, I do think Rebecca Romaine is a beautiful woman, but I don't think that this helped her character at all. Captain Foley agreed to something, but I'm not sure. Maybe it's because Jason says Captain Foley needs to take us for a ride in the Chimera. I don't think that's what he's agreeing to. Michael Spock, them is musical. This does go back to TOS. Well, TOS he sang in the episode Plato's Stepchildren, but he was in fact forced to. He plays the Vulcan harp, but he didn't sing while playing the Vulcan harp. Now, he did also sing Row, Row, Row Your Boat in Star Trek V. But as far as I know, Star Trek V, Row, Row, Row Your Boat, and Bitter Dregs in Plato's Stepchildren are the only 2 times we've ever heard Spock sing. And so, yeah, I thought that was horrible. Death Dealers in the house says, hi, I'm the Anti-Trekker. I reviewed Discovery, so you don't have to. That's about it. Luke says, I like science, I like spinning, I like singing. Well, I do, I gotta say, this makes more sense than ever now. Gotta love that. And let's see. I wasn't in pain before, but I am now. Yeah, I tell you. Hit 100. Wow, very cool. I didn't know that. He's the brother of the one STD writer-director. Gotcha. Remember when we just talked about the Klingons having a new look? Wow, has time has passed? Okay. Let's see. Modern Major General was also used in Mass Effect. Funny, not that they just recreate scenes from other shows or anything. No, not them. No, they would never do that. Daniel says, hey, Trigger, check Discord because I wrote something that is too long to fit in the chat. It's a theory about what I think will happen at the end of Discovery Season 3. I can't right now, Daniels. In order to get things set up for this type of a live stream, I can't bring up Discord at the same time that all this other stuff is up. Captain Foley says, haven't seen it yet. I'll see it tomorrow. Well, Captain Foley, you've got to admit to me that breaking out into musical theater is not exactly in character with Spock. It would have been epic if Spock had started singing about Bilbo Baggins. Now, that would have been funny. Spock sang with the Space Hippies. It wasn't forced. No, he didn't sing. He played the harp, but he did not sing with the Space Hippies, I do not believe. So I could be wrong. I haven't watched that episode in a while, and I don't want to. But if I remember correctly, he never sang in that episode. He just played his harp. You forgot row, row, row your boat in 5. Actually, no, I said it, but I know there's a long delay because you chatted that a few minutes ago. Now you've got napkins hanging out of your nose like Chris Pines Kirk. Man, you've had a rough year. I tell you, that ain't no lie, man. I think Spock is thinking he's going Pon far her hard. Except that Spock, well, of course, I know the Discovery writers would not care about continuity, but Spock's first time going through Pon far was when he was older than this and under the command of Kirk. He's not Spock, he's Spork. No kidding. Death Dealer says, saw the news trailer for Picard. Since when did 7 of 9 become an action star that can dual-wield phaser rifles? And apparently we get to see a TOS-era Romulan warbird. It's a bird of prey, not a warbird. The term warbird did not come out until the Next Generation. Let's see. Oh, Jordy LaForge saying Modern Major General on TNG. Did he? I don't remember that, but I don't doubt it. I mean, they've sang a few songs, but it's just that Spock, of all people, no. Mr. Miles says he did not sing that I recall. No, I don't believe he did. If you're talking about in The Way to Eden, I do not think he did. Let's see. Tim Christ says, actually, I think Spock sang or rhymed when they were in the episode of the first interracial kiss. Yes, that's where I mentioned the song Bitter Dregs. But he was forced by the force powers of the Platotians. Is that what however you say it. Yeah. Let's see. Wait, in the day that Disco died meme, how did the black ship go boom? Well, because I hit the kill button and the USS Anti-Trekker just kicked it and killed it. Death Dealer says, I did that on purpose. Okay. What, just to get me mad? I see how you are. Trekyard says, I'll agree that breaking out into song is not good Spocking. Exactly. That's my point there. Mr. Trent says, Anti-Trekkers, still, what about the uniforms? They were brand new at the start of Disco's second season, yet all these years ago, Ensign Spock was wearing it? They made Cage Cannon, didn't they? Yeah, that's true. It's funny because, yeah, this is a prequel to what we saw in Season 2. And yet in Season 2, they were talking about these new uniforms. Darren says it's probably a warbird because the ship was never actually called Bird of Prey on screen. I know that, Darren. We can have this argument all day. We'll go round and round in circles. Every reference to that ship was Bird of Prey, but yeah, it was never actually spoken in a script, and so technically it was an unnamed ship. But of course, you buy the model kit, it says Romulan Bird of Prey. If you look at scripts, it refers to the Romulan Bird of Prey. However, now, then they made the complete epic screw up in Star Trek 3 of swapping the Romulans and Klingons, and since the Klingons now had a Bird of Prey, they had to come up with a different name for the Romulan ships, and that's where Warbirds came in Next Gen. However, if they change the name of that ship to Warbird, whatever. Spock goes full square to total high in 0.2 seconds. Just give him spores. Yep. So there you go, guys. That was epically terrible. Only in the thing is that pisses me off is that episode actually had a lot of good potential. There are a few moments I kind of liked. The setup I kind of liked. It would be a good way to get to know number one's character. Since we didn't really get to know her during season 2, I would be okay with that. But basically, all they did in this episode was try to show that Michael Burnham is not the only Mary Sue in Trek, and that Spock, for some reason, will randomly break out into Broadway tunes. That's what we've learned today. Anyway, and Darren says it's okay, Anti-Trigger, you can be wrong about the Romulan Bird of Prey. I'm not wrong about it. Phantom S says, Anti-Trigger, how many memes do you have no matter what? How many memes do you have no matter what you call them? I don't understand that question, Fandom. I genuinely do not understand what you're asking me. How many memes do I have? Well, I don't have memes lying around the house. I mean, a meme to me, maybe I'm not understanding what you're defining as a meme, I always see a meme as a picture of someone, usually from a TV show or movie, doing something, and then text written in to make it funny. You know, like I have one picture of Captain Kirk smiling in his command chair, and it says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you over the sound of how awesome I am." But, so that I don't quite get that. It's a bird of prey, not a warbird. Thank you, Trek Yards. The Klingon bird of prey predates the Romulan bird of prey anyway. Only by retcon, but you know what? Yeah, the Klingons apparently had cloaking technology before anybody had encountered cloaking technology. Whatever. But it seems like at this point, Darren, they're purposely trying to screw canon. Antrigger, what's number one's name? It is Una. It is now canon that number one's name is Una. Which is really cheesy because her name literally means one. A bag of endless memes for Anti-Trigger. Thank you. And Mr. Miles says, Warbird of Prey. Whatever. All right, guys. So thank you all for putting up with this crazy, crazy show. Let's see. How emotional was shown by Spock in the cage versus the rest of the first season TOS? Well, that's why I didn't really get upset over him smiling when he first beamed to the ship. And quite frankly, the smile he gave at the end of Modern Major General made me think about when he smiled in Amok Time when he found out that Kirk wasn't dead. And that would make sense, but that was it's okay for Spock to show emotions, but the scene has to justify it. Him just hearing someone sing a cool song that he happens to know is not justification for a big old smile like that and him to bust out into music. That's just not Spock. Why is it a violation to cross the neutral zone when it is called the neutral zone? That is a very good question. The numbers of the skits you have, like the day Disco died. Oh, that's what you mean. It's actually, if you look at the description, they're all listed. So in Super Chats, I believe we're up to 27. In Uber Chats, we're up to 12. And then in Mega Chats, we're up to 7. And then we also have 2 BIRDOPREY 5 chats and 1 REDNEK chat. And Foley picked 17. You got it. So let's go to... Whoop, I didn't mean to do that. There we go.
Hey, you want to learn about Jesus?
There's no such thing as hooker-client confidentiality.
And let's see. Josh says, your ending just as Nerdrotic starts up. Well, good timing there. In that case, here's what I want you to do. Seriously. I want all of you, because I'm about to sign off anyway, I want all of you to go to Nerdrotic's live stream and tell them hi from the Anti-Trekker. And so if you do that, I would greatly appreciate it. And with that, I am going to wrap things up. So have a wonderful rest of your Sunday now that we've seen Spock sing. Oh, my God. That was... Ugh.
Because